Hello, everyone. My name is Connie from Chaos to Peace, and I'm here with Linda Binns, the energy expert. And we're just laughing because I forgot how the title of our life is going to be. Oh, that's what happens. Yeah, so we want to talk about how we can create supportive environments, and I actually love talking about that because a lot of people focus more on, oh, what do I need to declutter, and oh, what do I need to let go of. And while that is very important, totally important, where we can actually get quicker traction sometimes, not always, but sometimes, is by thinking about how could I make my environment support me better. I can't speak either. This seems to be a difficult day. Yeah, and so I have actually a whole concept around it. I even have a free download if somebody is interested, how to set up your desk, for example, to have a supportive work environment on your desk. But I know too that in Feng Shui, there is a lot of kind of talk about how you can create a more supportive environment, and supportive in a way like how the energy can flow better, and you have tools and everything. So let me first ask you, how do you create a supportive environment, you personally, Linda?
Me personally, well, I think I'm going to bring my favorite word in here. It all comes down to awareness. It's about being aware of what's around you and how it is either supporting you or not. And that can change as we change, right?
Mhm.
So an example would be looking at the different areas of your home and how you feel about them, or how well they function for the activity that you do there. Dining room is one example. A lot of people don't need a formal dining room anymore. And so you might look at that room and think, well, it's never, ever, ever used, but that doesn't really matter. Well, it does matter, because energetically speaking, energy becomes stagnant then if it's not being used, if there are things in there, or it might even become a dumping ground for things. So if it's a space that you really don't use and you don't need anymore for that purpose, then how could you repurpose it and turn it into a space that is really useful for you? You might have always wanted an exercise space. Maybe you could use it for that. Maybe you could use it for an office space. Maybe you do crafts and things, and maybe it would be the ideal space for that. But you want to look at how can it support what you want to do now and where you are now in your life. And that goes for every room, really, just making sure that it's always current in terms of what you want for yourself in your life right now. And of course, that takes awareness. You have to pay attention, really.
Yeah, I say often too, it's like when I go and help people, oftentimes the dining room is a dumping ground, or also the guest room is
Yes.
often also a huge
Yes.
dumping ground. And I always encourage them too, is like, if you want to keep a dining room, because like every so many months or weeks you do have some kind of a family gathering, I always say, like, well, you can become creative and see how you could use this room in the meanwhile for something else, like for
Mm-hmm.
craft, or like for exercising, or for an office, in a way that it's easily converted back into a dining room when you need it. No, but I mean,
Yes.
it's for sure healthier also for the room, because we all know, like, if we step into a room that we haven't used in a long time, even if it's not a cluttered room, you can
Mm.
feel the stagnant energy.
Right.
And so, and awareness is for sure something. So what I often encourage my clients too is, like, think about what frustrates you a lot, like when
Mm.
you're in the morning, you're getting up and you're getting ready, and especially when you're in a hurry, that's a good moment to later reflect back and realize what frustrates you in your process of getting ready and getting out of the house, and where do you have your roadblocks, and that's where you can make your home very practically more supporting you.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to take a lot of work. We often sort of don't think about these things or put them off because it just feels too big, and I don't have time to think about that or deal with that. But it really doesn't have to be. Sometimes just some very, very simple changes can make a really big difference. The most important thing, I think, really is to just constantly be aware of how your space is working for you. And, talk about the example of the dining room and how that could be stagnant energy if you're not using it. We take it a step further in feng shui and I would look at, okay, well, where is that room or that area within the house? Because we can map it energetically and show where the areas of your house relate to different aspects of your life. So there's an area that represents health, and one for family, and one for career, and one for relationships and for money. So if you have a space that has stagnant energy in it, and then you recognize, oh, that's my relationship area, or that's my health area, well, no wonder I've been feeling, whatever you've been feeling in that particular part of your life, because there is a direct connection. And so when you want to improve something in an aspect of your life, you can work with the relevant area in your home to help you bring about that change in a more positive and supportive way. So your environment really, really can support you if you let it, and if you have a bit of awareness.
Yeah, and I find that so exciting because it's several levels how your home can support you, like on a very practical level, like I just said, where you actually make sure that you don't trip over something in the morning when you're in a hurry, or that the things are where they need to be. And it has a lot to do with lifestyle. So I always say, like, we need to look at the lifestyle. We need to look at where are you in your life, or where is your family in your life. Like, it's different for people with younger children than people with no children, or people with older children. So that's also where it changes. But then there is other layers. There is like you just said, the awareness layer too, and then there is the energetic layer, and then we can, for the energetic layer, we can do very practical things again. No, the minute we understand it, it's there's so much we can do. And what I love about it too is like, it's in our control. No, it's like, this is like, we can't control the crazy world out there. And let me tell you, it gets crazier and crazier. It seems like we can't control any of all that, but we can, what goes on in our walls, we can control.
And the beautiful thing is, it can change, like I said, as you change and grow and you go through different stages of your life, then your environment should ideally keep up with that with you. So, for example, you mentioned, if you've got children, you want to, if you have small children, there's going to be toys and things, around, and you want to make it a child-friendly environment. You want to make it so that you don't feel like you're falling over children's toys all the time, or so you want to make it work for that. But then as the children grow older and then leave home, for example, I've often been to people's homes where they're now, it's an empty nest, right? And the mother is now thinking about, well, okay, well, what do I want for myself and my life? And so we look at the home in terms of, well, how can it support you now through this next phase of your life? And very often, as we would look around the house, what we would find is that she was not represented anywhere within the house. It was all about the children and maybe about what the husband did. And there was nothing representing her and what she loved to do. And now it was her time. And so it was time to make the house support whatever she wanted to do next in her life. So it really does, it should grow with you as you go through the different phases of your life.
Yeah, I come across that a lot with my clients too, that the woman or the mother is often not represented. And even if she does have a room, like I have once a client, and she she had a business on the side, and she did crafts. So she had that both in one room. But at the same time, that room was also the dumping ground for anybody and everybody in the family. They would just dump everything there. So it was really hard for her too. It's like for her self-worth, for her success, and also for her peace of mind while she was doing crafts. It was hard, no, because everybody just came home and dumped everything in her room.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so hard. And then it's not supporting us. It's not supporting us in our creativity. It's not supporting us in if we want to have a little side hustle and make some extra money. So pay attention to these things. Like we always say, awareness,
Yes, it is. It's really just knowing how you feel, and I think what you said was a really good indicator. Anytime you feel frustrated with something around you, something in your environment, or you find yourself, oh, I wish I had space for this, or I wish I had space for that, or why does paper tend to accumulate here, or why are there always shoes and coats all around the front door, and those things, because I always say your home is either supporting you or sabotaging you, and you want to make sure it's supporting you. And if it starts to have a negative effect on you, then just notice that and see what you can do to change it. There's always something you can do. That's the beauty of it, I think. There's always something you can do, and very often it's just a very simple thing. And sometimes it can feel big and overwhelming, because some people feel their environment is totally out of control. There's clutter everywhere or something like that. But again, you start with what you can control. You can start small, you can start with one area. But that's when I find it's helpful to know, okay, my whole house is a mess, and it feels like my whole life is a mess. And what's the most important first thing for me to focus on? Could be my health, or it could be money, for example, or relationships. Well, then if you know where that is represented in your house, and okay, well, let me start here, because this is going to start having a direct impact on that part of my life. That I find that can be really, really helpful for people.
Yeah, it gives you a starting point, because that's one of the most asked question that I get is, where do I start? So I usually, because I'm not an expert, I understand Feng Shui, read many books, but I'm not an expert. So I'm not necessarily going by Feng Shui, but I'm just like, I often say, like, well, okay, what frustrates you most, especially if somebody complains about them getting frustrated, or them tripping over things. Or I once had somebody where she wasn't happy with the kitchen, and well, it turns out the kitchen wasn't set up to support her at all. And I said, well, for example, when you're standing at the stove, you want to have everything handy. Like, you don't want to have to walk away from the stove if you need to steer something. But the how do you call it, the spatulas and everything, they were completely somewhere else. And within 5 minutes, we could switch what was in these drawers. And it may sound simple and silly and small, but this can create a lot of more peace in your life, because you're not getting frustrated, you're not getting frazzled either, running and getting what you need. Just take the 5 minutes and switch things. It doesn't have to be perfect right off the bat. That's another thing that a lot of people get tripped up. They think they need to wait with acting until they know exactly what to do. And I always say, like, you can't know exactly. Just do something, move it. And when it turns out it's not what you expected, then you move it again, or you move it back. But you create more awareness, you create insights like this. You're not creating the insights by thinking and hoping there is a perfect solution that pops in your head. Sometimes it does, but most of the time it needs some action.
Well, and also people want to know very often, not only where do I start, how do I do it? You want to know the whole thing, but how's it going to turn out? And you can never know. That's why, because you're working with energy, right? And so every time you make a change, there's a corresponding shift in energy. So let's say you move something out of a room. So you're freeing up some energy. That will free up some energy within you. Does that feel better? Does that not feel better? You don't know until you feel it. If it feels better, then maybe you keep going with that. If you notice that, oh, that doesn't feel very good, I preferred it when it was there, then you bring it back in, and that's not the thing you need to move. So it's a paying attention constantly to how you feel, whether that feels good, whether it doesn't, what does feel good, just understanding that. But I think it's also really important to know not only where you are now, but what do you want for your life? What are the experiences you want for your life? Where do you want to go? And again, like you said, it doesn't have to be perfect because things constantly change.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I've done it. It's all done now. That's it. I never have to do anything again, like decluttering or organizing. It's an ongoing process because we are not static beings. We're not doing one thing and one thing only all the time. Things are changing. Life is changing, and we need to keep the energy moving.
Yeah, I think we always think we arrive somewhere one day and then we're perfect, and then it's not that way. And I just read, and I forgot the author, but I just read this morning in a book. He said apparently as a TED talk, he said that we human beings think we're done individuals when we are a work in progress all our life, which is a good thing. No, that also means we can change. We don't have to stay stuck, or we don't have to stay where we are if, for example, we don't like it. So yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit more because you and we have an awesome 3-part workshop coming up next week where we actually go and do this in practice. So day 1 is more or less your day.
This is where we'll actually, I'm asking people to show up with a floor plan. It doesn't have to be a perfect one. It could just be a hand-drawn one. But as I just mentioned, there are areas in your home that relate to the different aspects of your life. Well, you will identify those. You will leave day 1 knowing exactly where those are. You'll know where your wealth area is, your health area, your relationship area. So we're going to work through that. And that's always very enlightening, and it will bring you a lot of clarity right there, just understanding that.
Yeah. And then they have time overnight to the next day to think about what area of life they would like to focus on. And then in day 2, then we do the love tour. That's one of the things that I love to do with people. And we will do the love tour in the part of the home that they identified they wanted to have a change.
Yeah.
And then we give them some breathing room again, because awareness sometimes is not instant. It needs some time, and then we can
need some time to kind of sink in and process.
Process, and
That's
then
why
we have
we're doing
day
it
3.
this way. Day 3 is putting it all together and creating an action plan. Okay, now I know these are the areas. Now I know this is the area I want to focus on. So what am I going to do with that? And we'll give you some very specifics. So you'll leave knowing what to do next.
Yeah, and I love that because like everybody is like, oh, the new year, the new me, or whatever. And actually, instead of just dreaming about it, we actually go through these 3 days and we create with whoever wants to come and sign up, we create the action plan already. And then you can already start implementing it before it's even the 1st of January. You don't have to wait.
No, absolutely. It's like, I feel like we're giving the gift of awareness.
Yeah.
And it is a gift because it's anytime you learn something more about yourself and what you're surrounding yourself with, that it's a very empowering thing, because now you know this. Now it's something you can do something about, something that is within your control.
Exactly, which we all need. in these
Which we all
times.
definitely need. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we would love you to join us, anybody who's watching this. And we are doing it on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. That's the 28th, 29th, and 30th at 11 a.m. Pacific each
Mhm.
day. Should just run for an hour or so. I mean, it depends if there are lots of questions. We'll stay and answer your
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
But if you're there live, of course, you can work through your stuff and you can ask questions. But if you can't come live, that's okay. We'll send you the recording. You just won't have the opportunity to ask the questions live, but
Yeah.
you still get the
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, and as we all know, sometimes it's so much nicer to do it with other people rather than alone. So that will be something awesome too. That they actually can come and we do it all right there. It's not like you learn something and then you have to go and do it. We do it right there.
Right.
I mean, there might
And
be some parts that they like, especially getting the floor plan
mhm,
ready. That's something that ideally you come to the first workshop already.
yeah, but
And then some thinking and processing and
mhm,
creating awareness you do alone
yeah.
too. But then you come again and then we're having this, which creates an energy too. You know, if we're in a group and we're doing something together, creates a special energy. And I love that.
Yeah, it really does. And you learn from each other, from questions that other people ask
Mhm.
and from other people's
Mhm.
experiences. And the best thing about all of this is we are doing this for free.
Yeah.
Right? We're not charging anything for this.
Yeah.
It is our gift to you. And I don't want people to think, oh, it's free, so I won't really get much.
Mhm.
You're going to get a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot you will walk away with
Yeah.
from this 3-part workshop. We're giving you our best information here. Really
Yes.
helpful stuff.
And the best part is it's not going to clutter up your house.
No,
No,
it's
it's an
not.
awesome gift. It's the time of giving. And um, I feel like in these really unprecedented and hard times where we never know, this can give you some traction. This can give you some control or feeling of control back. This can give
Mm,
you some peace, what I'm all about. It's very practical at the same time. It's very, we're working with the energies. So I'm really looking
yeah.
forward to it. And I will put the link to sign up for it. I will put underneath this video. So wherever you watch this video, the link will be right below. And you can sign up, as Linda said, completely free. And
Yeah.
then we will
And
see.
do come prepared to roll up your sleeves and do something, because it's not just going to be us
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going
Yeah.
to be asking you to do things. So that's why
Yeah.
we call it a
So for
workshop.
day one, would you say they need the floor plan and probably a pen or something? No?
Yes. So, and when you register, you'll receive a confirmation email with the link
Mhm.
that you'll need to use to come. But also there'll be instructions there of what you need to bring. So yes, to the first one, you'll need to bring a floor plan. And I've given you some examples in that email. So you'll see it doesn't have
Mhm.
to be a professionally drawn floor plan.
Yeah.
I've given you an example of a hand-drawn one. So if you can bring that to day one, that would be extremely helpful. And then what you learn from day one is going to give you the insight to what you want to focus on for day two with
Yeah.
Connie. And then we take those what you've learned from those 2 days together. And for day three, we'll be
Mhm.
pulling that into something of an
Yeah.
action plan for you.
Yeah, which is important because, like I just said, without action, we will not
Yeah.
make change.
I mean, we're not just going to leave you with information. Oh, here's the information, off you go.
Yeah.
We're actually going to help you know what
Yeah.
to do to implement. So
Yeah. Yeah. Very excited for that,
excited.
Linda.
Mm.
So excited. So, again, the link will be wherever you watch this, the link will be below or above, or you will find it
The link will be there.
wherever the
Yeah.
platform decides to put the link. We will put
Hmm.
the link. And
Yeah.
yeah. So that was
Learn
it. Yes.
learn how to your environment can support you
Yes.
and what you can do to make that happen. There's
Yeah.
a lot you can do.
Oh, yeah. And so exciting. That is a lot that we can do. No, I mean, I
Hmm.
always feel like if it's in my power, that's always a good thing.
Right. Yeah, especially now when we feel there's so much that we can't control. There's so much that's not within our power. So
Yeah.
this definitely is.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. As always, Linda, such a pleasure to chat with you.
yes.
And next week I can chat with you for 3 days.
I know, 3 days we're gonna do our little marathon workshop there. So
Yeah.
yeah, I really hope you'll join us if you're watching this, and
Mhm.
we're excited to work with you.
Yeah. Awesome. Good.
All right.
See you next
Thanks,
week,
Connie. See
everyone.
you next week. All right then.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye.